comments from the commissioners and staff, and then formulate any findings, and then vote if applicable. So with that being said, I will turn over to you, Chair Nash, to discuss the purpose of the meeting.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Director Strong. I would like to note that where we have removal of Commissioner Dennis Hodges within the context of all of the items, particularly agenda item 3, I really wanted to include the word consideration of removal of Commissioner Dennis Hodges. The purpose of this meeting, I would like to really, first of all, talk about the mission, just read it out loud. The mission of the Leon Williams San Diego County Human Relations Commission is to promote positive relations, respect, and the integrity of every individual, regardless of gender, religion, culture, ethnicity, sexual orientation, age, or citizenship status. That is our mission, and our purpose of the meeting today is to discuss the bylaws and the intent of our bylaws and why the effective date was an important issue, which would be effective April 5th of 2022. And I would like to call on our Commissioner Garcia, who served as the chair of the bylaws committee, first of all, to talk about the bylaws and the effective date presentation. Commissioner Garcia?
Yes, this Commissioner Garcia's. When we initially had some discussions in the within the commission that there were what was the procedures for if somebody wanted to be removed, the bylaws were very silent on it, and also on conduct. So at that point, we had a subcommittee come together and put together some bylaws that were going to be brought to the full commission. It was the subcommittee did not feel that this should be retroactive, and we made that statement both in the subcommittee and to the commission itself, and to the Board of Supervisors. We brought together the code of conduct as much as we could, and we felt that much of these under the code of conduct, it was applicable to conduct within the meetings, but we were trying to be conscious of how we wanted to make sure that everybody had due process, and that they understood what their actions could cause. But we came with the final version, which was brought to the commission, and then the commission approved the bylaws that were created by the subcommittee, and then it went to the Board of Supervisors. During the Board of Supervisors meeting, I did speak, and I did say that this was not going to be retroactive. And I did make that statement, and I still stand by that. But we also wanted to make sure that people's conduct in the meetings was respectful with one another, and that there was something there that people could go, okay, this is how I have to behave when I'm in the meetings, and how I had to how I had to conduct myself. So even in the section under section H, sorry, it's section officers, no, meetings. So it's under sorry, it's under additional provisions, Article 7, subsection H, subsection 3, refraining from discriminatory and harassing remarks in the meeting. So we created these bylaws. They were approved by the commission, and then they were approved by the Board of Supervisors. So that brings us to here. So I'll turn it back to the chair, Chair Nash.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. Let's see, I would like to move on to the presentation of notice of removal by Commissioner Desert. Commissioner Desert?
Thank you, Chair Nash. Good evening, everyone. Over the past several months, including after our new bylaws were passed by the Board of Supervisors in early April, Commissioner Hodges has consistently expressed discriminatory and hateful comments against the LGBTQ community in official commission meetings, in written letters, in public comment, and in published videos that are in the public sphere. So throughout this time, there have been some process questions that have come up, great questions from my fellow commissioners, and I wanted to address three things. One, there is no question about this commission's power to remove a commissioner. The Board of Supervisors voted 4-1 to approve our power to empower this commission to remove a member for, amongst other things, engaging in disparaging or derogatory communication, violating the code of conduct. So number two, the question about First Amendment rights. As is on page 5 of our board packet, Commissioner Hodges' First Amendment right as a county appointee, quote unquote, can be required to conform to a code of conduct, this code of conduct that we passed. Our guidance from County Council states that the First Amendment does not therefore apply to shield this application of removal, meaning you can't say I have First Amendment protections and therefore the code of conduct doesn't apply to me. It doesn't work that way. Violation of the code of conduct through speech is a qualifying reason for this commission to remove a member. Of course, if Commissioner Hodges is removed and is no longer a commissioner, he would retain his right to speak to this commission as a member of the public. Just want to make that clear. So third, the findings against Commissioner Hodges. I won't regurgitate all that's in the notice of removal, but essentially Commissioner Hodges has shown clear violation of the bylaws and codes of conduct for things he has said after the Board of Supervisors passed the new code of conduct. On May 10th, so that's more than a month after the bylaws and code of conduct was approved, he publicly represented himself, echoing hours of transphobic public comment on the county's consideration of adopting the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women ordinance, stating outright that our LGBTQ community is not normal, quote unquote, and thus is undeserving of protection from discrimination and basic dignity and needs separate restrooms. On May 8th, Commissioner Hodges posted a video on his public YouTube channel calling the LGBTQ community an abomination. Commissioner Hodges continues to use this term normal to mean straight people and to set them apart from LGBTQ people who he is characterizing as abnormal and therefore should be excluded or disparaged. On this commission, we know because of our mission that this type of language is hate speech. And speech like that, as we have seen in this country time and time again, fuels actions that causes real harm, creates discriminatory laws and violence against LGBTQ people and fear in our community and a real struggle for safety, security, and dignity, not just that we all deserve, but that this commission is supposed to fight for. These examples, which I documented in detail in the notice of removal, are not one-offs, right? This isn't someone, making a mistake and speaking out of turn once. We would come to that person with education and work it out. Commissioner Hodges has said repeated comments, has said he can never and will never support the LGBTQ community, and this commission must lead to say that these are clear violations of our bylaws, our code of conduct, that this is discrimination and hate speech from an appointed commissioner to the Human Relations Commission, that it will not be tolerated in San Diego County, and that this conduct fails our mission and requires removal. Therefore, I would like to make a motion that because of these statements, engaging in disparaging and derogatory communication, which violates our bylaws and violates item 2 and item 3 of the Code of Conduct under Article 7, Section H of the bylaws. These violations are clear findings against Commissioner Hodges. I urge my fellow commissioners to vote for removal, and I ask for a second for this motion.
We're not
This
at
is like,
no, Commissioner Desert, we're not at that point yet. Now the presentation is from Commissioner Hodges as a response to the notice of removal. That's where we are now.
Okay,
Let's stick with the agenda. Thank you. Commissioner Hodges, it is now your opportunity to respond to the notice of removal.
Thank you, Chair Nash. You already said what the mission was for the Leon L. Williams Human Relations Commission, so I really don't have to repeat that. But the commission should be a body that brings together individuals who represent all the above, truly representing the larger county. So I am a dark shade of brown, heterosexual, holy spiritual, unapologetic Christian man. I don't say I'm Black because there's no such thing as a Black person or a white person. We're all different shades of brown and we all bleed red. So I'm a dark shade of brown, heterosexual, holy spiritual, unapologetic Christian man. I'm a senior pastor of the Church of Yeshua HaMashiach, that's Hebrew for Jesus the Messiah, which is a non-denominational, multicultural church within the Christian faith. I respect those from all cultures. I respect all beliefs and religions, and I respect the rights of those who do not have the same beliefs or agree with my faith. I respect each individual's right to practice their own faith. My rights have been challenged in the current pursuit of punishment and removal from this commission because of who I am and my religion, faith, and my belief system. I have made it clear that through my faith and my beliefs and convictions, they differ from others. I'm committed to working and promoting positive human relations and working through conflict and civil discourse, regardless of gender, religion, culture, ethnicity, sexual orientation. And in my personal life and on this commission, I am and have been committed to serving all of my county. Now, I've been on this commission for, I think I came on in 2019. So this incident didn't happen until 2021. So I must have been on it for about 2 years before this even happened. And I have been working with everyone on this commission. So I've never stated that I could not or would not work with my fellow commissioners. I never said that. So that's a defamation of my character. I never said that. That never came out of my mouth, that I wouldn't work with anybody on the committee. And at large to foster a more inclusive and equitable San Diego County. And as a commissioner, I have not violated any of the bylaws or code of conduct. I have been in pursuit of fulfilling our mission, even through the discourse and distractions that have taken away from the work that we were appointed to do. I respectfully request the attack on my faith and the pursuit of my removal be dismissed, creating a pathway forward with solutions that work for everyone. And prior to our now bylaws being approved, County Council stated the bylaws and code of conduct would not be retroactive. When asked about retroactivity during our HRC meeting, with that understanding, the Human Relations Commission voted to move forward with the revised bylaws to be approved by the Board of Supervisors. Now, yeah, I was there at the Board of Supervisors meeting wanting women to have a bathroom by themselves and men to have a bathroom by themselves and transgenders to have a bathroom by themselves. I'm a pastor. I preach the gospel. I preach from the Bible. And as I quoted before what the Bible said, but I'm gonna keep moving. The Human Relations Commission revised bylaws with the addition of a code of conduct. Chair Nathan Fletcher stated clearly when asked by Supervisor Joel Anderson if the bylaws and code of conduct would be retroactive. Chair Fletcher clearly stated bylaws, code of conduct were not retroactive. Acting as a commissioner in our HRC meetings, I have not violated any bylaws or code of conduct. And as commissioner, I have attended meetings and engaged in education and conversation with those from the LGBTQ community and faith community. I have not just expressed my willingness to work with everyone from all backgrounds and beliefs. I have acted on as well, and I am committed to continuing to promote positive human relations, especially in the midst of discourse. My faith and religious freedom should not be up for debate. I'm a pastor who teaches and preaches from the Bible that I know to be the word of God. To use my preaching and the words that I've stated while quoting and referencing the Bible and the expression of my convictions and beliefs as the basis of removal is the ultimate contradiction of what this commission was created for. To try to silence and censor the teaching of my faith to like-minded worshipers, especially citing moments that I am in my sacred place of worship, is the most egregious and heinous violation of my civil and First Amendment rights, my freedom of religion and my freedom of speech. I had a transgender person come to the Church of Yeshua HaMashiach and just was very disturbing in the service. And that person was asked to leave by my wife. My wife sat next to the person and asked the person to leave because that person was disturbing the service. But I even asked that person to join the church. I asked that person, did they want to join the church? And that person told me that I was the devil and they couldn't join my church. Well, I also have the right to advocate for that which I believe in, and the allegations that Commissioner Desert have brought forth are all around my religious beliefs and freedom. One set of beliefs is not more important than the other, and we as a commission should never allow one set of beliefs or one group of people to try to eradicate another. These are large numbers of people. There are large numbers of people who have the same beliefs as I do, and other religious groups who hold similar beliefs. So we should be pulling people in and not pushing people out. The whole point of this is this. The commission is to find positive solutions, and I have never promoted hate or violence. And although I may not be in agreement with others, I lead with love, as I said at the very beginning on November 9th, that I love everybody. I love everybody on this board with the love of Yeshua HaMashiach, with the love of Jesus the Christ, because each one on this board is fearfully and wonderfully made, just like me, by the same God. Whether you receive him or not, he fearfully and wonderfully made you. So I lead with love and will protect anyone against hate, violence, discrimination, and the infringement of rights, faith, beliefs, and freedoms. I worked in 9 different prisons. I worked in the state penitentiary in Illinois and in California. And I saved homosexual inmates from being brutally beat up by other inmates who were pressuring them for sex. I put myself on the line, my life on the line, to protect those folks. So I don't have a hate for homosexuals, transgenders, or whatever a person calls themselves. I don't have a hate for that. I don't have a hate for that at all. But prior to May 10th, 2022, San Diego County Board of Supervisors meeting, I was reached out to by the women's group regarding the concerns around the county's consideration of adopting the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women ordinances. So several women contacted me. I wasn't even aware of what was going on. I received a phone call from several women. And so through an inclusive and equity lens, I asked the Board of Supervisors to create gender neutral bathrooms so we can meet the needs of everyone. And as a county resident, I can advocate and vote for what I believe in without my civil and religious rights being violated and called into question or used as a weapon for my removal from the Human Relations Commission. And commissioners do not have rights and freedoms while serving on the commission, then the Human Relations Commission should be dissolved. because everyone who has different beliefs and faiths will not be allowed to practice their faith or advocate their interests while being a member of the Human Relations Commission Board, even outside of the commission meetings. So as a commissioner, I have civil rights that include freedom of religion and freedom of speech. However, I'm being discriminated against with the attempt to be silenced and censored, which is antithetical to the mission of the Human Relations Commission. How do you, so are you listening to my YouTube sermons to give your life to the Lord, or are you listening to see what I'm talking about in regards to sin? That's a question that I have there. So and is a direct violation of my civil right and our bylaws and code of conduct. And if I'm wrongfully removed, I will be forced to take further action. I don't have a problem with that. My lawyers have already been alerted. It is unacceptable to allow discrimination and hate speech to be determined by subjective opinions of some commissioners, and it simply cannot stand. The commission has a real opportunity to be an example to the rest of the county to address these same conflicts that arise in our cities, our schools, and our communities. I've been willing to come together to listen and to learn, and despite others and their unwillingness to work with anyone with different beliefs. It is clear to me that some people have a forced agenda with no desire to hear each other out or heal. I would hope that we can get to work on a way forward in training and education and dialogue and move forward and grow and heal. I will continue to fight for the freedoms and protections and rights of everyone, including those who believe and live differently than myself, including but not limited to the LGBTQ plus community. I sit on the Citizens Advisory Review Board for Police and Community Relations. I've been on that board longer than I've been on this one, and I haven't had a problem with that board because I can work with everybody. I asked the call for the vote for my removal to be dismissed, as there is no evidence I have committed any violation of bylaws or code of conduct and have discriminated against no one. Because here's the definition of discrimination. I have the right to exercise freedom of speech, but have I denied or would I deny?
Commissioner Hodges?
Yeah.
Commissioner Hodges, your presentation up to calling for a vote, let's leave that for another part on the agenda, okay?
Say that again.
Your as I did with Commissioner Desert.
Oh, I'm not calling for a vote.
Okay.
No, I'm just giving my definition of discrimination.
Okay, hold that moment until we go to public comment, and then we're going to come back to the comments from the commissioners and staff.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So let's move to agenda item E, public comment. How many public commenters do we have today, Director Strong?
Thank you, Chair Nash. I believe we had about 28 before 5, but I want to confirm with Janie to see if we had additional ones, and then we can move on. But I think we wanted to limit our comments to a minute if we had more than 10.
1 minute.
So,
Yeah.
so we'll do
Please.
1 minute. Okay.
Thank you.
So we can start with, I'm going to look at the list, and I'm going to also stop sharing our screen for a second. And if we have E.A. Clampett, we have E.A. Clampett on the line. Okay, not seeing. If we have Reese Dran Reese. Okay, not seeing Dran Reese. We have Kevin Kavanaugh. Okay, not seeing Kevin Kavanaugh. Gail Levin. Okay, I do see Gail Levin in the attendees. We can allow her to unmute.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Oh, hi, this is Dran. Okay,
Oh.
that was weird. I couldn't figure out where the unmute button was. Okay, listen, I feel a little disjointed in how to speak to this, but folks, I just want to say Pastor Hodges is a decent man, and he has a firm belief in a different belief, and I believe that your organization should honor that. And I just have to say, this is my personal opinion, because when you talk about LGBTQ, et cetera, I keep thinking of L being lesbians, which means they have sex with each other. And I think of gay meaning that they have sex with their own sex kind, B meaning that they're bisexual and they have sex with both sexes. And T, transgender sense talks for identifying with the sex of a woman, or a woman identifying with the sex of the man. And Q stands for queer, which is a combination of all these. Bottom line, it's all this is a focus on sex. And I have to say, this is getting really tiring as a subject, and extremely debased that you are setting labels and putting labels on people all the time by how they conduct their sexual activities. Why can't we just get down to doing business and support each other? And instead of this incessant focus on labeling each other with some sexual identity, let's shake hands, get along with each other, and just go about our business. And Pastor Hodges is
And
just,
ma'am, that's a minute. The time is up. Thank you for your comments.
you're welcome.
And I think we were on to Gail Levin.
Gail says she can't find the mute button.
Okay.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much. Is my
You
minute
have a minute.
starting now? Okay, Commissioner
Yes, it is.
Hodges is being discriminated against because of his personal beliefs. Transgenderism is a belief system for those who believe they're born in the wrong body despite their biological makeup. It's a belief, and everybody's entitled to make their own choices. In the same way, Commissioner Hodges has his belief system in the God of the Bible. The board's considering amplifying the visibility voices of the San Diego transgender community. When you ask one group or the other to abandon its core beliefs in order to conform to that of another, you open the door to whatever the commission determines. And it's the work of the commission to uphold the dignity and respect of all people groups, or is it to determine for all in the county who, when, and where people must conform to the standards of another group? Before removing Commissioner Hodges, I urge the commission to look at yourselves and determine this question as it needs to be explored. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments. Next, we have Robert Westland. Okay, not seeing Robert Westland. We're going to move on to Amy Hoffman.
Good evening, commissioners. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. My name is Amy Hoffman. I use she, her pronouns. I am a member of the LGBT community. And from what I've heard about Commissioner Hodges' speech and actions, homophobic and transphobic speech during county business has no place, and neither does religion to dictate how policies are made or decided in any government setting. And I would urge you to vote to remove the Commissioner Hodges from the commission, because you are here to work for all human rights, and to discriminate against somebody who is what they are and do not respect that is antithetical to your purpose. Thank you very much.
And thank you for your comments. We have Joseph Murphy.
Yes, thank you, Commission. My support is for Commissioner Hodges. I think it's the right of all the commissioners to serve on the HRC, to follow their faith. Commissioner Hodges is a 501c3 nonprofit religious organization in the state of California. He has filed the articles of incorporation with the state. Therefore, he has been recognized by the state of California to have a voice in the religious community. And therefore, I think that in accordance to your Article 1, all should be allowed the right to represent the voices of San Diego County at the HRC, along with the other specific groups that are written in your bylaws in Article 2 and the membership and term of office. And he should be allowed to continue with fulfilling the mission of the Leon L. Williams Human Relations Commission of San Diego County.
Thank you for
Thank you very much.
comment, sir. Next, we have Deborah Augustine. Okay, not seeing Deborah Augustine. We have Francine Maxwell. I think I see Francine on the call. Unmute.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Francine Maxwell, Chairwoman, Black Men and Women United. Leon Williams is not with cancel culture. He thinks that this commission should work it out or dissolve. He also believes that everyone is equal and he loves all human beings. The same thing that Dennis Hodges said. You guys, I don't believe in any retreat, if you had one, that you've taken the anti-bullying from the district attorney's office training, because there's some bullying that occurs, not only on this topic, but the fact that you've been working on the same topic since February. Somebody needs to make the motion to dissolve this motion, this removal process, because you've wasted a lot of time that big things could have been going on in our community. And it's your job to set the tone. And this isn't the look that you guys want to have because somebody wants to prove a point. All the Union Tribune was a response article to somebody else's article. So let's be clear. Let's not remove. Let's be inclusive. Let's push forward and let's get some real work done. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you. Next, we have Haley Kitchens. Okay, not seeing Haley Kitchens. We have Samara Peterson. Okay, not seeing Samara Peterson. We have Alexandra Motz. Not seeing Alexandra Motz. Peter Clayton. Seeing Peter Clayton. Donna Beeman. Not seeing Donna Beeman. Christopher Dennison. Not seeing him. Christopher. Donna Train. Okay, Jamie Lee. Okay, Esther Valdez Clayton. Okay, Alfonso Gilliam. Okay. Melissa Thomas.
I did see Alfonso Gilliam. He should be able to speak now.
Okay, thank you, Jenny.
Mhm.
Okay, Alfonso, if you are able to speak, feel free. You have 1 minute.
He's muted.
Yes, how you doing? My name is Alfonso Gillum. I'm speaking on behalf of Pastor Hodges. He's a great man. He's our senior pastor. I'm a deacon at his church. I just think you guys are making a wrong decision of getting rid of him. He's a great man. He teaches us not to compromise. That's what he's doing. He's not going to compromise. He's never going to compromise. Sorry y'all feel that way, but you'll be a fool letting Pastor Hodges go. God bless y'all.
For your comments, we have Melissa Thomas. Okay, not seeing any Melissa Thomas. Adrian Church.
Yes, my name is Adrian Church. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yeah, 1 minute.
Yes, my name is Adrian Church, and I'm supporting Pastor Hodges. I stand on the word of God. And the thing is that it seems like you guys are bullying him just because he's standing on the word of God, because of his belief. You know what I'm saying? You want everybody to believe and see what you guys is doing is fair. So see what he's doing, and what he's saying about the Bible is also fair. Stop trying to bully us as Christians and not taking what we believe in, but want us to accept you guys. And I accept and love everybody. So stop trying to bully Pastor Hodges and let him stay on the commission board. And let's worry about other stuff that's going on in the community. Like we got a Mary in Lemon Grove being called a nigger, but we ain't talking about that. Thank you guys, and God bless you.
Next, we have Gus Hernandez.
Good afternoon, commissioners. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You have 1 minute.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Gus Hernandez. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I live here in San Diego. I'm a member of the LGBTQ community. And our community today is asking that you hold Commissioner Hodges accountable for his homophobic and transphobic comments. There's no question that he's made them. This is not about freedom of religion. It's not about freedom of speech. This all came about because Commissioner Hodges couldn't bring himself to vote to support a statement to end discrimination against transgender people during Transgender Awareness Month. Let's remember that. This happened in November. And then he just said that transgender people need their own bathroom. This is advocating for segregation. We are beyond that. Commissioner Hodges' statements demonstrate that he is unfit to serve as a commissioner on the Human Relations Commission. I ask that you vote to remove him. Thank you.
We have Will Apshear.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, my name is Will Apsher, they, them. I am a mental health counselor at the San Diego LGBTQ Community Center, and I am also a member of the community myself. I'd like to speak personally just to say that I grew up in a small community where many of the leaders in our community were folks of Commissioner Hodgson's yoke, speaking on their beliefs in the public sphere. And my experience as a child coming up in that community is that in attempt to access education, to access support and services, I encountered folks who were moralizing me, who were judging me and my peers. And the result of that is not that I became less queer, less gay, more normative. The result is that I found myself not wanting to live. And I think that that's the case for many folks who hear public officials espousing anti-LGBTQ beliefs, such as what I've heard from this commission. So I have no doubt about your character, Commissioner Hodgins, and you do have your right to your own beliefs and your practice those beliefs, but this is not the platform.
Thank you for your comments, Will. That's a minute. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
We have Phil Bartel. Okay, not seeing Phil. We have Cheryl Gangano. Okay, not seeing Cheryl. We have a Joel Penton. Okay, and last for our submitted public comments, we have Shelley High. Okay, not seeing Shelley High, and if those members are on the call, we can take them after we take a look at who has raised their hand to speak. Oh,
Andrew, I don't know if you received the updated list. There are a few more. I can
okay.
read those off.
Thank you.
Sure, no problem. So next is Rebecca Hook Held. And I do see that name, so I will unmute.
Good evening. My name is Rebecca Hook-Held. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and on behalf of the San Diego LGBT Community Center, I respectfully ask for this commission to vote to remove Commissioner Hodges under the commission's bylaws. Over the past several months, including after the new bylaws were passed in April, Commissioner Hodges has consistently expressed discriminatory, hateful comments against the LGBT community in official commission meetings, written letters, public comments, and published videos in the public sphere. Commissioners who use hate speech to describe our community as an abomination, sinners, and state outright that our diverse community is not normal, thus undeserving of protection from discrimination, is a violation of the HRC's bylaw and the code of conduct. These statements clearly engage in dispiriting and derogatory communication, and the First Amendment does not protect the application of the removal process in this manner as advised by legal counsel. These violations are clear findings against him, and I ask that you vote to remove. Thank you.
Next is Dawn Hendon. Not seeing Dawn. Next is Luis Montero Adams.
Good evening, Commissioner. My name is Luis Montero Adams, pronouns he, him, his, and I wanted to start off by saying that I strongly agree with Commissioner Hodges when he states that he should be able to voice his values and practice his religion freely. But as presented by legal counsel, county appointees can be required to conform to codes of conduct, and the First Amendment therefore does not shield Commissioner Hodges. Today is not an attack on the character of Commissioner Hodges. I ask that the commissioners focus on what is written in the HRC bylaws. The commission's purpose is to promote positive human relations and foster mutual respect and understanding amongst all groups and communities within the county. Additionally, all commissioners have been asked to follow a code of conduct. As he himself affirmed, Commissioner Hodges was present at a recent Board of Supervisors meeting at which he used hate speech against the trans and LGBTQ community. This is a clear case of Commissioner Hodges breaking the code of conduct, and he has therefore disqualified himself from participation in this commission. I ask that you follow the rules presented to this commission and please remove Commissioner Hodges.
Next is Lauren Croman. Lauren Croman, you should have the ability to unmute now.
Good evening, and thank you for your time. I am a member of our LGBTQ community. My pronouns are she, her, they, them. I'm speaking in support of removing Commissioner Hodges from this commission. Nothing that has been said this evening has been attacked based on religion or freedom of practice, but rather it must be in defense of protecting the rights of all members of San Diego County communities, all of them, to exist freely and equally. The use of documented and repeated, and yes, as the commissioner stated, unapologetic hate speech against an entire community violates the spirit of the Human Relations Commission and the responsibilities of any appointed or elected official. I ask you please hold to the bylaws of that code of conduct that we've come here to discuss. Thank you.
I see we had a speaker that was previously mentioned, but maybe was unable to mute previously, Christopher Dennison.
Thank you. My name is Christopher Dennison. My pronouns are he, she, they, and I live in San Diego in the University Heights area. I'm a member of the LGBTQ community, and we are asking that Commissioner Hodges be held accountable for his homophobic and transphobic comments as a member of this commission. He's repeatedly made these hateful comments as a member during meetings, and that's a clear violation of your bylaws and code of conduct that you had passed. He's unfit to serve as a commissioner on a group that is meant to support human relations with all people of the county, regardless of their sexual orientation. Now, I don't believe that his religious beliefs are protected based on the hate speech that they spout. Thank you.
And
Excuse me, Director Strong, how many more public comments do we have?
We have, I don't believe we have any more submitted public comments. We have 8 members of the public, I believe, or 7 members of the public that wish to speak, or 6 actually, who raised their hand, 6.
Okay, and that's 6 minutes. It is important that all public comments are heard, and then after that, agenda item F is comments from commissioners and staff. And so we will proceed with ending with the 7 public comments, and then we'll move to item F, comments from commissioners and staff. Bear with me. This is a very controversial issue. We've been at this for a while, and I would, of course, like to see closure brought to this issue today, if possible. So if commissioners, if you could remain, have some patience, and we'll get through this. I appreciate you there very much. Thank you.
Okay, first member with their hand raised is Helen Weldegorgis.
Hi there, folks. My name is Helen. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I'm a resident of San Diego, and I identify as a member of the Black and LGBTQ community. I want to clarify a few things in support of removing Commissioner Hodges, who has positioned himself as the victim of discrimination. Commissioner Hodges is not the victim here. He has caused harm, and we are moving through an accountability process. Consideration for his removal is not about freedom of religion, his skin color, or freedom of speech. It's about his willful and repeated hate speech that violates the mission of the HRC and the Code of Conduct. There are no procedural reasons to avoid today's vote, and I urge the Commission to avoid the distractions from the core issue here and remove Commissioner Hodges from the HRC, who has yet to apologize or meaningfully acknowledge the harm he has and continues to cause. Thank you so much for your time.
And next we have Blake.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, yes, I'm a homeowner in the Hillcrest neighborhood and a gay male. I do not support the removal of the commissioner when we have individuals claiming a trans equivalent status, such as non-binary on the commission, or individuals using inaccurate sex pronouns. The current commissioners are hypocrites. The gay community must oppose the adult transgenderism movement and fake gender identity ideology, which are encouraging sex identity disorder and have created fake medicalized conversion therapy that is severely harming countless closeted gay kids. Many gay people are very afraid to speak out against the movement, but they are gaining courage. I've spoken to many. Any of us gay adults as confused minors could have been victims of this nightmare ideology. I recommend everyone check out the organization called LGB Alliance USA on social media. Trans supporters need to stop harming closeted gay kids that are just displaying sex expression, non-conforming behaviors due to the children naturally experiencing excessive opposite sex image envy.
Thank you for your comments, Blake. That was a minute. Thank you.
Thanks.
Next, we have Joseph Murphy.
Yes, once again, I want to thank the commission. And Dennis Hodges have continued to stand for equality. I'm a 32-year military vet that have reached the highest status of enlisted as Command Master Chief. And I've asked him to speak many times through naval events at 32nd Street. And he have been willing. As a Command Master of the United States Navy, I would never have allowed anyone to approach or say anything to the sailors in the community that I felt that was against any kind of inequality. Thank you very much.
And next we have Art Hodges.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. The HRC bylaws are to create a commission that's reflective of the demographics, diversity, and culture of San Diego County, including comprehensive representation of religion and sexual orientation. Pastor Dennis Hodges is apparently the only one appointed to the HRC expressly representing religion. Bylaws further state HRC is to promote respective integrity of every individual. That includes Pastor Dennis Hodges, regardless of religion or sexual orientation. The purpose of this HRC is not to promote one group over another. There's one voice currently for religion serving on the HRC, Pastor Dennis Hodges, 2 transgenders serve on the HRC. So the transgender voice is certainly amplified on the HRC, and Pastor Dennis Hodges not complain about that. Your rules of conduct apply to meetings of the HRC, not personal or public life outside HRC meetings. Remove Dennis Hodges based on him saying he does not support LGBT actions, which in his view violate scripture, is not a basis for removal from HRC any more than any of you not supporting his religious beliefs and practices are the basis for your removal.
Thank you for your comments,
Both
Mr.
religion and
Hodges. That
sexual
was a minute.
orientation are named
Thank
in
you for your
HRC
comments,
bylaws.
Mr. Hodges. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Arameek Glass Blake. You should be able to unmute now, Arameek.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. What is the point of appointing and making sure that there are a diverse background of people that serve on this commission if they do not have a voice at the table, if those beliefs are not going to be able to be brought forth? We're also having a debate about what Pastor Hodges says over the pulpit of people who choose to go to his congregation and choose to go to his church. We're also calling scriptures and citations from the Bible hate speech. We're calling hate speech when we are in disagreement. Let's call things what they are. Let's move forward. Let's heal. And let's do the right thing today.
Next, we have Laura Haynes.
Oh, hi, can you hear me? Can you hear
Yes,
me
we can hear
now?
you. Yes, we can.
Thank you. Okay, so many San Diegans and millions of Californians across traditional religions share Pastor Hodges' religious beliefs. Commissioners who would publicly censure or vote to remove Pastor Hodges from the Human Rights Commission would commit an act of intolerance, discrimination, and hatred toward many San Diegans and millions of Californians of traditional faiths. This would be an act of substantial neglect of duty, gross misconduct, ongoing disparaging and/or derogatory communications or direct action, inability to discharge the powers and duties of office that exist to uphold human rights. Censoring religious beliefs of millions of San Diegans and Californians would negate the very purpose of the commission. I urge you to choose to do the hard work over time necessary in a society of differing beliefs and sensitivities to promote positive relations, respect, and the integrity of every individual. Thank you.
Thank you. Last comment is for Amado Huizar.
Hello, thank you for this opportunity to share with you all. This board is a board that is promoted to be inclusive and to get the voices of everyone in the county, and I'm very thankful for that. I'm asking that you would reconsider this vote, as it's already been discussed and shared, that these bylaws are not to be retroactive, but to move forward. And I think Pastor Hodges has expressed the desire to have a conversation and to move forward to promote this inclusiveness. Thank you for this time. And I urge you to vote to not to remove Pastor Dennis Hodges.
Okay, Madam Chair, one more person raise their hand if you'd like to take their comment, or we can move on to the next agenda.
Take their comment. That's the last one. Thank you.
They lowered their hand, so.
Okay. Let's move on. Okay, let's move on to item F, comments from commissioners and staff.
And we have, in this order, we have Commissioner Garcias and then Commissioner Desert. And we have a few more commissioners raising their hand, but we can start with Commissioner Garcias.
Thank you. So first, I would say that the incidents that occurred in November 9th of last year should not be considered applicable because there was a set of code of conduct that was approved this year, and you can't hold somebody accountable to something that was not in place prior to that code of conduct being there. And so if they violated something, secondly, the code of conduct was meant to be holding people accountable for their behavior in meetings. And I do believe that in meetings, someone must be refraining from discriminatory and harassing remarks in meetings is appropriate. We need to make sure that the meetings, there's no discriminatory or harassing remarks in the meeting. Next, the bylaws were intended, the notice that was sent for the removal, I believe is wrong in the fact that many of the comments they put in were minus the issues that happened on November 9th, were in speaking in the public space, this public sphere, as was mentioned in the notice. And you cannot, I believe you cannot hold somebody accountable for something they do in the public that they say that is not within the meeting space. That was the reason why the subcommittee and the members that approved the bylaws wanted to have a space where people could come and work freely and not be attacked, not be discriminated upon. And so that was the intent of these bylaws. I'm voting no, and I'm asking for a vote to no, that this doesn't reach the threshold for someone to be removed from this commission at this time. Thank you.
Commissioner Desert.
Want to echo what David.
And I'm sorry to interrupt you, Commissioner Desert, as well. Chair Nash also requested that we keep the comments to 2 minutes. Commissioner Garcia's was under 2 minutes, so I just want to let folks know that. Thank you.
We are focused, as the notice of removal does, on conduct that happened after the Board of Supervisors amended the bylaws and the code of conduct. Commissioner Hodges' statements before that vote are there for context. So just want to make that clear. The code of conduct is not limited to conduct or statements made in a commission meeting. If you are representing the Human Relations Commission, you have an obligation to speak respectfully and not disparage communities that it's in our mission to protect. So just want to disagree respectfully with Commissioner Garcias on that point. We've been talking about this for 6 months. I know my fellow commissioners want to move on to many other important issues. And so I'm going to make the motion that because Commissioner Hodges' statements after the April Board of Supervisors meeting engage in disparaging and derogatory comment, including his comment tonight that transgender people need separate restrooms, violate our bylaws, violate items 2 and 3 of the Code of Conduct under Article 7, Section H of the bylaws. These violations are clear findings, and I urge my fellow commissioners to vote to remove, and I ask for a second.
This is Vice Chair Ramirez, and I second that motion.
And that motion is on the floor, Chair Nash, but on the agenda, we do have to get through the comments. I believe, Rachel, that's correct for the rest of the commission.
We want to hear comments from all of our commissioners as well as staff. Then we will proceed to decide to proceed with item G and F.
And next we have Commissioner Evans.
You're on mute.
Thank you. I have to think this through and think this through and pray about it. how is this situation different in terms of other situations around the county regarding speech or regarding like church? I represent the Methodist Church, which is dividing over similar issues. One of our responsibilities is to be the role model organization, to be a unifying force, to be an entity that can deal with all groups as a situation of collaboration or corroboration. We cannot do that unless all people, all groups, all parties have a seat at the table. Someone once said to keep your friends close, but keep your opposers closer. If we want to succeed, create change, or just be facilitators, we must be willing to, we cannot cut off our nose to spite our face. You know, we seem to be in a cancel-driven society, whether it's bullying from progressives or conservatives, people on the right, people on the left, whether it's straight or gay. We are an organization that focuses on human relations. And sometimes it means forgiveness, and sometimes it means trying to demonstrate love in a very hostile situation. But we have to fight hate. We have to turn the other cheek, you know, and we have to move on. There's so many other things in the county that warrant our attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Fowler.
Good evening to my fellow commissioners. I want to give special concern to Commissioner Desert, Commissioner Roberts, Commissioner Hodges, and Commissioner Legaspi, and to the chair. I appreciate our conversations over the past year, but I also have some concerns about the fact that because of all the publicity and all the energy behind all this, that we're missing several points in my view. And that is that two of the most important things is respect and abstention. I know I have some colleagues on here who have ran board meetings before. And those of us that have been in elected office that have ran board meetings understand in order Robert's rules, in order to run a proper board meeting, that you understand that the term abstention means that you abstain. That's what Pastor Hodges did back in November of last year, and he should have been able to rest on that in itself. Commissioner Roberts asked Commissioner Hodges, and it happened so fast. I was at the meeting. It happened so fast that Commissioner Hodges answered. I personally wouldn't have answered because it's a no-win situation. That's why we're here today, because the public's been involved in it. There's a lot of misinformation out there. There's people who refuse to accept what the County Board of Supervisors laid down as far as there's no retroactivity. And so the way that we can resolve this is go back to the core meaning of our thing is respect. Pastor Hodges answered after he abstained. He shouldn't have to have done that. But I also am appreciative of Commissioner Roberts for writing a letter that she wrote in support of Pastor Hodges staying on. And I'm also in support of Pastor Hodges being able to remain on this commission. Everyone's viewpoint is important to our organization, and we should be able to continue to deal with the work that goes on. We will have other topics that come up that we don't agree on. Thank you.
Commissioner Gillies.
Thank you. I want to just start by saying that when I came on to serve as a commissioner, I didn't actually need a code of conduct to tell me that I should not use hateful speech against anyone in our community, any of our commissioners. That wasn't my role as a commissioner. So we now have a code of conduct, but I think we all should also have our own internal code of conduct on how we behave as role models in the community. Words matter, and there are consequences for the words that we use. I honestly believe that if Pastor Hodges or any of us had used this same language about any other minority, we would not be having this conversation. the person using that language would have been removed. If somebody said that I, as a Jew, was an abomination, that I was a sinner, that I was an affront to God, I mean, I can't imagine what that must feel like for those who are the targets of this. So I am really troubled that in 2022, we are still treating the transgender community specifically, the LGBTQ community specifically, as if they don't matter as much as any other minority. It's very troubling to me, and I am really saddened that we are even having this conversation. Thank you.
Commissioner Roberts.
There we go. Okay, first of all, thank you, Mr. Fowler, Commissioner Fowler, for reminding me and everybody that I did ask about, in an attempt to find consensus on that issue, asked Reverend Hodges to answer that question. And yes, he could have abstained on the answer too, but I was that was not the proper procedure. I want to just kind of put out, and I wrote my letter, and I'm sure everybody's had a chance to read the letter. I would like to ask everybody in the LGBT community that if to switch places with Reverend Hodges right now and look and see all the things that you were accusing him of in the spirit of his religion. I mean, you are basically saying that his religious dogma, which I don't necessarily agree with, is less important than yours, is less important than your viewpoint. This is a commission of people to try to get represent the entire community. And if we don't hear people that don't agree with the current mantra, we need to hear from them. We need to reach out to them. We need to build and establish communication channels with them. What was my response right after he made his thing? I reached out to Reverend Hodges and said, we need to meet. And we haven't yet because my crazy work schedule puts me away from town a lot. But I still look forward to the opportunity of sitting down with the man and having a discussion about a lot of these things. So I would really like everybody to step back and look and say, not only, okay, so yes, he has very deep-seated beliefs about the LGBT community, but he also has very deep-seated beliefs about his religious views, and we need to respect those views as much as we're requiring him to respect our views. So anyways, thank you very much, and I am definitely voting against his removal.
Commissioner Perez.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, I don't believe that this is about Pastor Hodges's race or religious beliefs. I just don't believe this is about that. I truly believe that it's about respect of others and their beliefs and cultures. So forget the race, forget the religion. It's really not about that. It's just our cultures, what we bring to the table, totally different. And I think that's where there's a big conflict here. And especially sitting on a member of this commission that strongly supports bringing together people to form a diverse group that represents all of us. So especially that, we want that about the community. I don't believe for a minute that he is being judged or punished for his religious belief or for his race. I believe this is an issue of accountability. And just like we held, the CIF with the tortilla issue, just like we held them accountable, it is exactly about that. You need to respect others. So I was one that motioned. I don't believe this was a waste of time at all. And I believe that, at least personally, I have used these months to really think about everything that's been going on, the different points of views, and putting myself in those shoes. And I really don't believe it was a waste of time. But I was one to motion the meeting, to motion this special meeting to say, okay, we now need to make a decision. I think we've heard from all parties, we've seen a lot, we've read a lot, And here we are today. And I believe I still almost hear people saying the same thing. But I just wanted to put my voice out there to say that I don't believe this is an issue of religion, of race. I believe it's an issue of respect of our commissioners, respect of each other, and respect of our community members. So I plan on voting for removal. And thank you for everyone that wrote comments in.
Thank you. District Attorney Summer Stephan.
So I still, unfortunately, don't have clarity. I pride myself on having a photographic memory, and I remember County Council being asked a specific question as to whether the bylaws are retroactive, and that the answer was that, as written, the bylaws are retroactive. Now, what Commissioner Garcia said is his own statements, which are not part of the written part of the bylaws. They're his interpretation, and the Board of Supervisors should have asked County Council to respond specifically. So, and the reason I'm saying this is because it makes a big difference. It makes a big difference because the conduct that happened before the bylaws is, I believe, conduct that would require removal, because it is the same standard I use for everything. It's not about religion. It's the fact that when you are a commissioner on the Human Relations Commission promoting respect for everybody, you cannot be a commissioner and quote anything that signifies that any human being is an abomination and harm other commissioners and other people. We would not allow that for anybody. If you've read the report by the Southern Poverty Center, you know that many of the white extremists are using the Bible also to commit violence against Black and other people. If we were to allow religion, whether no matter what it is, then we would also be okay with Al-Qaeda using religion as their cause to harm others. We can never on a commission allow religion as a way to be able to express anything hateful, period, end of story. But I don't think that bar that our Human Relations Commission has goes towards Pastor Hodges doing his own YouTube for his church. I believe that puts him in the lane of his own First Amendment free speech. Nor when, and I double checked, when he called for the Board of Supervisors, he did not represent himself as a Human Relations Commissioner. He was speaking as his own pastor, and he could vote and express in his own way. But sitting on this commission, that is absolutely not allowed under the bylaws. And I am saying this because if County Council does not think it's retroactive, then my vote would have to follow the law and the rules. But what I am seeing, I just want to put it out there, is that unfortunately, Pastor Hodges, I don't doubt, has love and is a good man, but what he's expressing tells me that he is going to say something that hurts and harms and is hate speech in another meeting. And I want to be clear that what I'm reading the bylaws to say is that he cannot use religion as a cover, just the way I would not allow anyone to use religion as a cover to harm someone else. So I still don't have clarity, and I remember County Council saying it's retroactive.
Thank you, District Attorney. Commissioner Senator Clark.
Absolutely, thank you. So I always lead with love, right? I know how it feels to be marginalized. I know how it feels to be excluded, right? And I agree that words absolutely matter. There's a time and a place for words and how we use them, and there has to be accountability. I 100% agree with that. However, on the meeting on November 9th, I actually missed the vote because my internet dropped off, and then I rejoined, I guess, following the meeting. But if you look at the recording around, it's like, I don't know, 33 minutes, I don't know, 31 minutes and 33 seconds. I can't remember, but somewhere around there, Commissioner Roberts actually, just like Commissioner Fowler said, Commissioner Roberts actually asked why for that abstention from Commissioner Hodges, which was out of step with Robert's rules, as we know. And that was the first misstep, right? So I don't necessarily agree with what Commissioner Pastor Hodges said, right? I believe in accountability. I believe in leading with love. I believe in allyship and lifting and advocating for those who are underrepresented and misrepresented and, everything, right? That's what I do for a living. But I will say that canceling someone due to their beliefs, hearsay, and what I believe to be misinformation is not fair. And although I don't know, I was not there when it comes to whether the bylaws are retroactive or not. I've heard both sides. The previous speaker already mentioned that. So if the bylaws are not retroactive, then there's so many missteps on the part of the administration of this commission, and the words that were spoken by Commissioner Pastor Hodges. There's so many missteps. To cancel somebody in that instance, it's problematic for me as a person, but the words were also problematic. And I've looked at the recording. I've, gone through all of the documents, and we are all a diverse group of people who volunteer to be here, who give countless hours to this commission and the subcommittees associated with it. And I think there's an absolute opportunity for education, understanding, and just like Commissioner Roberts said, an opportunity for the two commissioners to meet and talk. And I just think that the way that we're going about this and kind of choosing sides is unfair. And, just like the previous commissioner mentioned, I'm still super unclear, but I do know that there were some missteps in the way that the comments even came about. So all of that to say that, words are important. We have to be accountable for our words. But on the flip side of that, we also have to be fair, and we have to provide opportunities for remediation and all of those things. And as a private citizen, if Commissioner Pastor Hodges was representing his religion, that is absolutely his right. And if he was not representing this commission, that is within his right to do so. So as a commissioner, as a human, as somebody that has been discriminated against and understands what that feels like, and I offer nothing but good vibes to both. And I just feel like that there was some missteps that led us to this position, and it's unfair to both stakeholders and all of those that were impacted. And for the community, the LGBTQA plus community, I offer you my support, and words absolutely matter. So that's all I have to say. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to provide some comments.
And thank you. I just want to remind the commissioners to please limit your comments to 2 minutes. Thank you. And then it's Commissioner Hodges.
Okay. Again, I'm on. There's a Hebrew word for love, and the Hebrew word is ahava, ahava, and that's unconditional love. And the Lord loves all of us unconditionally, and I do my best to mimic that. And that's why I laid out on November 9th that I love all of you. And trust me, I do. I wouldn't let nobody harm you. I'm not going to do that. And Commissioner Roberts, you and I have been going back and forth, and I told you, yes, I want to meet with you. I'm all for that. I don't have a problem with that. But this whole discrimination piece, discrimination the way that I understand it, is a denial of housing, a denial of a right to a living, a denial access to social enjoyment, denial to freedom to worship. As a matter of fact, there's a transgender that came to the Church of Yeshua HaMashiach. And again, it's not my church. That church belongs to God. I didn't die for it. He did. But that person came to the church. And when I did the invitation, I asked the person, did you want to join the church? The person told me, no, I was the devil, and continued to disrupt the service. So that person, again, was talked to by my wife, and that person left. But have I denied exercise for your right to vote, or refuse admission to, or deny medical attention, or any hospital or medical facility? Have I denied access to any protection by law enforcement agencies or personnel? Have I denied any of you the opportunity to attend an educational or academic institution of your choice? You would have to, their choice documentation, and prove that I have denied any of this for me to be being discriminatory. I did a funeral back in, I think it was 2011. There was an officer that got killed, Chris Wilson, a Caucasian officer, San Diego Police, because I was a San Diego Police chaplain for 16 years, from 2000 to 2016. And the majority of the people in there were Caucasian people. And the family was blessed by the service that I conducted. The bottom line is this: I preach the gospel. I preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. And when I prepare these sermons, I get cut up first. I get beat up because I'm a sinner saved by grace through faith. I myself, I'm a sinner saved by grace through faith. I still have a sin nature. When you take a little baby and the baby comes out the womb and the baby is cute as she can be, but she has a sin nature. She has to be taught to say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. She has to be taught not to steal, not to put her hand where it don't belong. She has to be taught that. So we have to be taught to do right. We have to be taught. And somebody said, well, I was born this way. Well, I was born a liar. I was born with jealousy in my heart. I was born real with all of that in me.
Commissioner,
however now,
I think we're over 2 minutes. I think we're at 2. Okay.
However, I'm born again.
Commissioner Naya.
How you doing, everybody? I'm going to be quick with my remarks. As I think I've said it before, we have handled and discussed this for far too long, and only because I know that it'll be objected if I said this, I would move to previous question, but I know there'll be an objection and we continue the dialogue anyway. But I actually think we should at this point even go to a vote, but I won't go there. But I will put this out there because there's been a lot of talk about, what are the consequences of these words? And I don't think it's been stated, and I don't think it's been said or even referenced, but in the work that I've done and in the teachings that I know of, I believe in 5 levels of prejudice. It starts with words, then it leads to avoidance, then it leads to the discrimination, then it leads to violence, and it ends with genocide. Those are the 5 levels. We're at level 1. We're starting to get to level 2. How much farther, if we don't put a stop to it today, and for anybody, how far are we from the next level and the next level? So I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Commissioner Villaforte.
I've had my hand up for well an hour. Can't you see it?
Oh, I'm sorry. You're actually over in the attendees because you called in. So no, I did not see that. I apologize for that, Commissioner Morales. You can go ahead and take your 2 minutes.
I appreciate it. This is a very painful meeting, and I'm sure for many of you. First of all, I want to thank those of you that at least showed up, because at least half of our commissioners didn't show up, and they knew that this was an important meeting. And now I wonder if that 30 years of trying to get this commission reinstated was really worth it. And I'm going to tell you why. Because it's obvious that many of you don't understand that LGBTQ people are also religious. And when you are told that you're an abomination that effect that it had on Julia Legaspi, that effect that it had on and has on me as a Christian, to hear a pastor say that, and not only say that once, but continue to say it. We, the LGBT community, are hurting now. And after this meeting, I think we're going to be quite devastated and hurt. Because the thing of saying that, oh, he loves us, and dialogue, he made it clear that he believes that we are abomination and that he isn't going to change his mind. We can have 60 meetings with him and he will continue, and I know he will. We probably have the beginning of a new Jerry Falwell, Pat Robertson of San Diego in a religious sense. This was about decency, promoting. You do not say that by continuing to damn our community. How do you think all of us who are LGBTQ are going to feel? I'm Latino, but let me tell you, I would have stood up for any, if he would have said that Muslims were abomination or Jews were abomination or any of you, I would have been as I am now. I haven't worked over 50 years and working with every community in this county. And today, when I hear some of these comments, and all due respect, almost dismissing, well, you know what? No. Commissioner Desert spelled it out, gave you the ABCs of it. And now we stand here, we sit here or whatever, and you have a community that is absolutely, those of us, I know those of us that are on this call are in pain and are hurt, and nothing is going to change that. And now when our entire community finds out, oh, well, yeah, let's hold hands. He doesn't want to hold hands. You know, many of us prayed on this too. I know I'm not an abomination, and I know Julia Legaspi isn't an abomination. And I know one thing. I know if God came down, if Jesus Christ came down to this earth, he would cry over what people are saying in his name and doing in his name. This is never about religion. I beg all of you to do the right thing and take some of this pain away from us.
Commissioner Villaforte.
Thank you, Commissioner Maria Ramirez. This is Commissioner Alex Villaforte. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I am part of the LGBTQ community. Despite that, in my lifetime, there was a time that I wish I wasn't. I prayed about it, I cried about it, and I sometimes wanted to kill myself about it. And I hope that one day that I woke up and I was not queer. That fear was largely exacerbated by those guising religious rights with being homophobic and anti-LGBTQ, and saying that I was destined for eternal damnation, even though I am a person of faith, calling me an abomination. When we look at the past 6 months, we see that many siding with Pastor Hodges are doing the same. Those who have protested the LGBTQ community before are part of groups like Mass Resistance. And if you look them up at even websites like the Southern Poverty Law Center, they are identified as anti-LGBTQ groups. The Southern Poverty Law Center even identifies people like Mass Resistance, who Commissioner Hodges has protested by side, as saying that the Black Lives Movement is a terrorist group. As Commissioner Anaya said, this is larger than the LGBTQ community. It is hate disguised as religious freedom. In public comments, a group of welcoming and LGBTQ affirming congregations call for his removal, and I support these congregations. At no point in the Bible are transgender people referenced. The only time is when they take a flesh of Adam to make Eve. And so by that regard, transgender people are divine. I ask that commissioners join me in voting to remove Pastor Hodges. You can hear the hurt in my voice, as Commissioner Maria Ramirez said. As the county council stated, The First Amendment right does not protect him in this case. So I ask you to do the right thing. Thank you.
Excuse me, we're going to call on those commissioners that have spoken.
So, Sheriff Ray?
Yes.
I hope you can see me. I only hear your voices. I don't. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. We hear you, but you're broken up.
You're broken up.
All right, I'll do the best I can. I'll speak slowly and loudly. Being appointed on April 5th, I've tried to keep up with the discussion. The thing that concerns me the most is a microcosm of the community and what keeps going through together. How are we going to even work with the community to solve the problems? My thought is, and I obviously, I'm 62 years old, I'm married, I have children, I teach my family, but I accept all people. I think everybody has value. I try in my profession, my family, to find common ground and then build from there and go forward, overcome and understand our differences, and then find solutions so that we can do good together. And I don't see that here. I mean, I'm trying to determine, was the pastor disparaging, defining, or explaining his religious beliefs? Call request comes after the bylaws happened before is what happened after a certain time, but I still don't definitive. He was intentionally disparate. I understand is I think he was explaining his beliefs, and it's online saying his beliefs. I'm trying to understand. Maybe someone can explain that to me. I hate on the one side, which bothers me because I was hoping that I did to do that. So that we could, as a community, work together. That's what I try to overcome these barriers so that we could make a difference in our community. That I don't see that happening in this group right now. That's what I have to say at the moment.
Commissioner Elliott Santos.
Good evening. Well, I guess I'll start with saying that I respect all people's religions, but religion has been used against my people in acts of genocide for hundreds of years. And so I thought that this commission was about giving support for humanity, not beliefs of individuals that would take away support for a group that is persecuted and murdered for the way that they are, for just being the humans that they are. And that's where I find the issue with this. And I'm going to try not to cry the tears of hundreds of years of what happened to my people, again, based on religion. Someone else's belief meant that our babies were killed, our people were enslaved. And also, if we adhered to everything that was in the Bible, then there would be you would be able to have slaves, you would be able to discipline your wife, you would be able to do all kinds of things. So just using that terminology and quoting it from the Bible and using that to be able to call another group of people abomination, I'm sorry, but it's not okay. Even though, yes, in your church, please preach how you want to, and your followers should be there and support you. But the job of the commissioners here are to support all humans. And I also want to say I don't appreciate being called a bully. I have donated and put in so many hours on this commission and was so excited, and then to be threatened to have it be dissolved because we're all here talking about it, taking the time to discuss it, that's bullying. When you threaten to dissolve this commission and the work that it's done, or you say that we haven't done any work, Yes, we have. Right now, my kids are waiting for me to go cook dinner for them, but I'm donating my time because I don't ever want to see this kind of discrimination. I don't want to see people hurting. I don't want us to use this word abomination or be put in this situation, because I do believe with the statements that were made before, if we would have said, any one of us would have said, Native Americans are an abomination, Jewish people are abominations. If any one of us would have used that, as it's been said, we would not be having this discussion. We would have already been removed. This commission is not about our own personal beliefs. It's about humanity, and we have gotten work done, and even this is work. We're making a statement about what we will tolerate and what we're all here to do. Protect other human beings and give our support to those human beings that are in need, whether the Bible says we should or not. And as a matter of fact, I believe Jesus said, turn the other cheek and move on. But instead, there's threats here. There's people upset and saying, we don't want this commission because we're speaking out for humans. I don't believe Jesus is happy with this either. And I don't believe that the King James Version of the Bible even translated that word correctly. I honestly think if we look at all those translations, we shouldn't be quoting those things. They're not right. And I'm sorry, I'm done. I just want to say, coming from a group of people that are almost extinct because of genocide over religion, just think about that. Everyone here, thank you.
And last, we have Commissioner Fowler.
Thank you, Andrew. I had spoke earlier, but I just wanted to speak up again because there are some real consequences to this action tonight. I appreciate every commissioner's time and the members of the public on this, but I also listened very carefully to the County of San Diego District Attorney Summer Steffen, and I know Commissioner Desert is an attorney, and there may be several other people on the meeting that are attorneys. And so I'm a little bit disappointed because from the attorney personnel, we would expect that there would be some clarity about the interpretation of what actually took place. That's what attorneys do. And in the attachments that was sent out, page number 5 makes it very clear that the Board of Supervisors, when this issue was brought up on April 5th, that this was not to be retroactive. This issue was not to be retroactive. And I don't know why there's any indecision about that. That is very clear. The Board of Supervisors made that in their discussion. They made that clear that these rules were to be moving forward, not to be retroactive. And I'm just very disappointed also to hear that the district attorney talks about what actions Commissioner Hodges, Pastor Hodges might take in the future. Imagine if all of us were held to a standard of what we might do in the future. And that is something that is just coming from the district attorney of the county. I don't understand that at all. And I know that the sheriff who's been appointed, the district attorney are political. The current sheriff, the race for sheriff is being ran, and the current sheriff is not running for that race. So I appreciate his comments. But I have to say with all clarity that there is some political stuff going on in this, and because it has become a big issue, and the attorney people that are on this meeting have not addressed the issue of the abstention and respect for that. That's number one. That's the first starting point. Is that had the abstention been respected, we wouldn't be here today. And there's a reason why, if you look at the definition of abstention and respect, both of those give you clarity and answers and definition about why you have those two words, because we wouldn't find ourselves in this position today. And so Pastor Hodges has said it. Many people on the call have said it. We're all here, and we all have been participating. Those of us that were at the meeting last November. Certainly didn't expect any of this. But moving forward, I want to make sure that we're doing the right thing for the citizens of the county of San Diego. I'm actually out of state right now, and I'm in a small community where I'm in a real minority and having to deal with that every day with my grandchildren here. So the differences that we have in America are real. But you know, from an elected official, the district attorney of San Diego, we should not be talking about what somebody may do in the future. Everybody here may do something. And is that the standard now that we have for this commission? That's my comments. Thank you.
All right, Chair Nash, not seeing any more participants, or not participants, I'm sorry, any more commissioners wanting to speak. Okay, there you go.
All right, we have heard from all the commissioners. Did any staff want to respond? I believe District Attorney Summer Stephens brought up the retroactivity. It was a part of the Board of Supervisors meeting on April 5th, if I recall, where we committed. Again, Commissioner Garcia just laid it all out. Legal, Rachel?
Yes, good evening.
My understanding, it is not retroactive. The bylaws are effective April 5th, 2022. I work with bylaws for nonprofits all the time, and they're effective a certain date. Amendments are effective a certain date. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I work with a nonprofit attorney, and that's always been my experience.
Yes, thank you. The amended bylaws as written did permit the HRC to determine whether to remove a commissioner would be applied going forward or whether it could apply to prior acts. However, at the discussion at the Board of Supervisors meeting on April 5th, 2022, the discussion made very clear that these rules would be applied moving forward and not be retroactive.
Thank you. I would like to respond as chair. I've listened to all of the passionate rationale that has been stated and all the concerns here today. I actually am an associate pastor at my church. I was born and raised in Holiness Pentecostal Church, and my experience growing up in that church, my late father was a pastor, and the scripture has been used that was very excluded. It was hurtful. It was painful. But when you grow up as the oldest of 7 kids, and your parents are Church of God in Christ Holiness pastors, it was about aiming to please my parents. And some of the rules and regulations, from walking in church wearing red lipstick, I was an abomination, and I was going straight to hell. The big afro I wore walking into church, I was banned from church and had to go sit in the car. I've been there, done that. I've heard the preaching of the scripture didn't apply to a girl and a girl, only applied to men and women. I've heard that all my life. I didn't even get a chance to go to the movies until I was in college. I've been there. I've been hurt. I've been in pain. I've been in trauma behind, quote unquote, the scriptures. I've been there. I've also sat in the choir stand with my friends who were struggling with sexuality and having to hear this whole dogma on homosexuality as being an abomination. Abomination is a word in the church that is not meant, it is a harmful word, and it has done a lot of damage, even to me mentally. It's created trauma. But when I sit next to a young man who was dealing with his own sexuality, trying to figure out, but he wanted to please God and he wanted to sing in the choir, and he was my very best friend. Yes, we did play with makeup. We did play with lipstick. We played with mascara. Yes, we did. We did that. But then we went to church and saw all of the quote unquote word of God. And to the point where when AIDS came about, he ended up committing suicide because he was so traumatized. I held all that. I was a kid, I was in college, I was in high school. I held all that. He poured it on me. And I'm talking about my dad, my daddy. I'm talking about all the preachers I knew. I've been through what you're going through. I did it from the time I was born to the time I left my parents' house when I went to college. But it was about pleasing my parents. It was not about pleasing God. It was about pleasing my parents. And that trauma stays with me today. But I've learned after I went through my own life's experience, cycles of my own, I have progressed to another mindset where I, as a leader, I believe in not separating people, but bringing people together. The good, the bad, and the ugly. That's why these conversations that we're planning, these forums, these town halls, these critical conversations is hard work, but we need to have them. I have plenty of stories, but I don't want to go on and on. I'm 69 years old. I've lived through a lot of this hateful speech from church, in my career, even the pronouns that I see on your page here, the she, her, and hers, it brings back trauma for me. Because I was always, oh, she can do that. That's her responsibility. Coming from supervisors. And some of them, yes, lived of the other lifestyles that we're talking about today. And then when I corrected them, my name is Ellen Nash, then I would get reprimanded, retaliated against. Raises were refused. I've been through this, you guys. It's hard, but these conversations we need to have. And it's regarding respect for each other. For each other. It's not even about love. I'm gonna be honest with you, it's not about love. It's about respect. Regarding each other's space, respecting your space, respecting where you stand, respecting your belief systems. Because the last time I checked in the workplace, we all have to pay, we all have to work to bring home a mortgage and put food on the table and put our kids through college. And sometimes these belief systems, they just don't work. But that's what we're there for in the schools. I can tell you stories about how my kids were mistreated because of the color of their skin. And when we talk about color of skin, I was born Black. And the last time I checked, the Bible was used to justify slavery. Let's go to Philemon chapter 6. I know what that means. So we have to deal with this. We have to bring in Bibles, we have to bring in scholars, we have to bring in data, we have to bring in evidence. We got to learn how to function. And this is about human relations. It's not about human rights. This is about relationships. That's why I joined this commission. I did not sign up for rights. I signed up for relationships. And let's go forward. I want us to go ahead and the formulation of findings, if that's appropriate. If you want to take a vote, fine. But let's bring this to closure tonight. It is 5 minutes to 7. I appreciate you all staying here. This is what town halls and forums were for. And we created all of this in a commission meeting versus having the critical conversation in separate forums and town halls. That's what this is about. The tears that we're shedding, that should have been in town halls and forums. I keep telling you guys, it's the hard work. That's the hard work. the conversations, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I want to stop right there, and let's go ahead with our formulation of findings. I think our attorney Witt has said it's not retroactive going forward. So let's go forward. What evidence do we have that demonstrates that Commissioner Hodges during a meeting has made statements? I haven't heard that going forward. I know what was in November, but I'm talking about as of April 5th going forward, what has been his statements. That's my issue. And I'm gonna vote based on my issue. Any more comments? I think we should.
I just have one point of clarification regarding segregated bathrooms. The correct term is gender neutral bathrooms. And the California Teachers Association, which is composed of 350,000 members, and the NEA, which is 3 million members, the largest union in the world, they use the term gender neutral, not segregated bathrooms. So again, it's just a misnomer of words. And so you cannot accuse someone of segregation when, if you look at it, actually, yes, we have male bathrooms, we have female bathrooms, and we have gender neutral bathrooms, which anyone can use.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I'm not seeing any more hands raised from our commissioners, Chair Nash. And for the formulation of the findings, there was a motion made on the table by Commissioner Desert, and I don't believe there was a second. But
yes, I seconded.
Did you second? Okay, seconded by Commissioner or Vice Chair.
Vice Chair Ramirez.
Okay.
Got it. So we can call the vote. And if you wouldn't mind restating your motion, Commissioner Desert, if you're still there, I would really appreciate that.
And also, if we could also clarify the vote, yes, no, and abstaining. Please clarify those so that we all have the same understanding.
And you're not asking for people to state why they voted. We're just asking to.
No, I didn't.
Thank you.
The goal is the goal is 2/3 to remove. Yep. Correct. All right.
Yeah,
so
you would need 2/3
please
vote.
clarify what will constitute what if the abstaining versus the no versus the yes.
Okay, you would need 13 yes votes for the motion to pass. Anything less than 13, regardless if it's an extension is essentially a no vote in this matter. Although as it is saying, they're not saying they're yes or no, but it is not a affirmative yes. So it will not count as a yes. So you need 13 yeses. And if you don't get 13 yeses, the vote will fail.
As requested, I'll restate my motion for Commissioner Hodges' conduct after the passage of the new Code of Conduct and Bylaws for his actions on May 10th, speaking at the Board of Supervisors meeting for the elimination of forms of discrimination against women, stating outright that the LGBTQ community is not normal and thus is undeserving of protections and basic dignity and needs their own separate restrooms. And additionally, on May 8th, Commissioner Hodges posting videos calling the LGBTQ community an abomination once again. I move and make a motion that these statements qualify under the Code of Conduct as disparaging and derogatory communication, violate our bylaws, items 2 and 3 of the Code of Conduct under Article 7, Section H of the bylaws. I move to remove Commissioner Hodges. And I vote
and
yes.
Vice Chair Ramirez seconds.
Okay, I'll call the vote. Commissioner Anaya. Commissioner Anaya.
Aye.
Vice Chair Arton. Commissioner Kate Chasen. Commissioner Kate Clark. Commissioner Cinnamon Clark.
I abstain.
Commissioner De Los Rios. Commissioner Desert.
Aye.
Commissioner Elliott Santos. Commissioner Elliott Santos,
Aye.
Commissioner Evans,
Abstain.
Commissioner Farouk, Commissioner Fowler,
Vote no.
Commissioner Garcia,
No.
Commissioner Gillies,
Aye.
Commissioner Griffin Jones, Commissioner Hussain,
No.
Commissioner Hodges,
No.
Commissioner Ismail,
Aye.
Commissioner Corey, Commissioner Legaspi,
Aye.
Commissioner Murray Ramirez, second motion.
Aye.
Chair Nash,
Abstain.
Commissioner Perez,
Aye.
Sheriff Anthony Ray, Sheriff Anthony Ray, I'm sorry, Sheriff, did you say yay or nay?
Nay.
Commissioner Roberts,
Nay.
District Attorney Summer Stephan,
Aye.
Commissioner Villaforte.
Aye.
Give me a second to tally the votes.
Commissioner Roberts, was that a nay or a yay?
Nay. It was a no.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I believe that vote fails with 10 ayes, 6 nays, and 3 abstentions. And I just ask council to confirm that if you would.
That's correct.
Would you
right,
repeat
ma'am.
that, please, again?
That vote
Would you please
failed.
repeat?
Yes, Vice Chairman Ramirez, that vote failed with 10 yeses, 6 nos, and 3 abstentions.
Thank you.
And I'd like to move that we adjourn the meeting.
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
I'll second that.
Thank
All
you
right,
all.
meeting adjourned. Next meeting is
Meeting
June
adjourned.
21st. Take care.
Take care.
Put this behind us, folks.